Good morning. Happy new moon in Capricorn. It is I, Teri Hunter, and you have found my channel. And I want to thank all the new subscribers if you tend to watch this for watching my videos. I had to move my glasses onto my face so I could see. What I'm going to do here today is I'm going to pull a tarot card for each sign, and then I'm going to do a spread with the angel deck and my Camelot deck, which is the angels or spirit, however you like to, however you want to call it. It's their guidance and advice for you as you walk through these very transformative days. My glasses have a smudge on them. Bear with me. Is that Small Wildflowers? There she is. Good morning, my dear. How are you feeling? I hope you're well. I've refrained from ringing you because, just want to let you pace yourself. Okay. So I'm going to give the room a minute to warm up. Good morning, Mountain. MK Mountain. That's how I always look at it. Yucky, but hanging in there. Oh, man. Hey, Funny Bubbles 3. Good morning. Welcome to our tribe and our room. I love that name, Funny Bubbles. I truly believe that these names we give ourselves are sort of a vibration that goes out into the universe, and we should be mindful of how we post it up. So good to see you. I'm so happy. Happy New Year to everybody. Happy birthday to all my Capricorns. If your birthday is around this new moon, oh my goodness, it could not be more powerful. But before I start, let me do a little plug. I never plugged my other videos. I did a Saturn, at 29 degrees Pisces. That's pretty powerful. I did Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces. We did the new moon, and I think I did Neptune in Aries as well. Check out all those videos because literally I have some kind of weird smudge, or I'm losing sight in my right eye. I don't know what's going on. These times, this beginning of this year is really sort of a master class of awareness of everything that has come since Neptune entered Pisces. Now, Neptune is finishing up a 14-year stint, and I really, when I think about it, Lucky was born at the very beginning of that transit, and he left at the very end of it. And for me, it really helped birth my work as an intuitive and an astrologer. And in the Placidus house system, this all happened in my 11th house of networks and of groups. So this period of time right now and this new moon, I'm going to talk about it briefly, but again, check out the video because it goes into more detail, has so many favorable aspects to it. We're all going to be here together during it. It's going to happen at 11:51 a.m. Pacific time. We have Mercury conjunct an exalted Mars in Capricorn. So this is really starting to think like the hero in your life. And in the Capricorn energy, it's about rooting in that. Now, let me tell you how you root in that hero thought, because we all have anxiety. We all have thoughts that seem intrusive, or that we worry about, or that we have been sort of conditioned to think, feel, and to think as real. If indeed you want an outcome of something, this today and the days that surround this new moon are great for activation. Taking any scenario, if you break it down, like I want to manifest an ease and flow of money. And you write that down. You say, Spirit, when I'm in flow of money, when I'm in the flow of health, when I'm in the flow of a relationship, when I'm in the flow of job security, any situation, it does not matter how trite or how large it is, then you use an alphabet. And if you are bilingual, trilingual, or have multiple languages, doing this exercise in those languages as well as English can be very powerful. You take each letter of the alphabet and you write a affirmation, or you write, an adjective that describes how you feel. This is Saturn, making a sextile to this new moon, which is in its house. Mars and Mercury are going to do one of two things. They're either going to really have you be brave in the way you think, or you're going to go back into your old stories and think about your history and get pissed off about it. On the other side of this new moon, we have Venus and Pluto, and Venus entered Aquarius today or yesterday, excuse me. And so what we're seeing here is really looking to the future, Aquarius, wanting to live a liberated life where your voice, your skills, your talents, your gifts, your money, your relationships are transformed into the higher vibrations of these planets. So Saturn is asking for you to take a minute, assess what is most sustainable in your heart, what is most important to you, and will you allow yourself to go beyond what you've experienced, Saturn's history, and the sextile to Neptune is bringing in that dreamy, and not only dreamy, but not a lofty dreamy, a spiritual way of dreaming, a spiritual knowing that a soul is calling something forth. Now, at the same time, this moon is making a trine to Uranus in Taurus. Taurus is also a history house, okay, as is Pisces. So we are transforming our history into the manure, potentially, that helps our garden to grow. It's not about trying to release something. It's not about trying to pretend it never happened. It's not even about trying to get closure on it. It's about taking the steps to move the story forward and doing it not necessarily in faith today, doing it with intention. Because this is a huge amount of planets, and most of them are the personal planets. Venus, the sun, the moon, Mars. It's like all the aspects. It's like the five senses, basically. So this is such a powerful time, and I think it's a really polarizing again time. The other aspects that are going on this week is that Mercury will become conjunct the sun in Aquarius later on in the week, which will also put it conjunct Pluto. Pluto and Venus will still be conjunct, so there'll be a lot of action going from the history of Capricorn into the future of Aquarius, into assessing the networks, the type of people I'm interacting with, how I am looking at my future, and whether if I've been beaten down and pummeled to the ground by these transits, will I melt into it or will I ascend beyond it? The major dissolving energy with Pisces is not about taking what is material away from you. It's dissolving the fear and the illusion and the control and the manipulation and deception that keeps us from living a soul's perspective in a human structure. And that's what I think Neptune's transit into Aries is going to be all about. It's going to redefine the self from the soul, and then it's going to move into Taurus, where it's going to root it into the ground. And really, that's going to be pretty powerful indeed. Okay, what else is happening? Mars will enter Aquarius and join. The stellium is just going to click along over these next few months. So it's going from the house of the old structure of government, of authority, of limitation, restriction. Now, again, the reward side of Saturn is not that Saturn erases your history. Saturn teaches you how to maneuver around your history, how to be strategic and discern whether or not you're being led by duty and responsibility that doesn't follow your heart, or when you're following your heart, that duty and that responsibility has purpose. I really think that Saturn in the highest vibration allows us to see our purpose into a situation that is at some points uncomfortable and yet brings bounty on the other side. I think 2026 has been so much better than 2025 already. I don't really want to, because there's so much that's changing. The main thing I've noticed since the beginning of the year is the crazy AI. Like all of a sudden commercials, my phone even has some weird bubble-like look to it. It did an upgrade, and that's just going to get more and more prevalent. And the big thing, which will happen, I think, next Monday, a week from Monday, is Neptune will move into Aries and stay there. And we are going, this week here is all about awareness, intention, and literally setting the foundation. This is time to go back to basics. Do your vision boards. But when you do them this time, am I doing them out of hope and out of doubt? Or am I doing these with excitement and joy for the future? I know. And you know what the weirdest part now is that scares me about AI is it's not only listening, it's sending me emails when I don't even inquire or give them my email information. It's really spooky. And then I've had for a couple of weeks, I had this Microsoft alert, to reach out to Microsoft because someone in Brazil had gotten my blah, blah, blah. And, everything inside me said, this is a hacker. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. And I never did anything about it. Nothing bad happened. So this is really where that discernment comes in, because you would think that, well, Microsoft or whatever the case may be. So listening to your gut and also pausing for a minute before you take action, because Mercury and Mars today are at 26 degrees. And that really rings to me to have this feeling of the heart. And then Venus's energy is in here with that 6. Venus is asking for, have you, through Saturn's transit through Pisces, have you anchored in an awareness that your thoughts are going to bounce around? And as they go from doubt and fear into potential of the future, maybe not even faith, will you allow for the flow of that and then keep pushing back into the more uncomfortable feeling of trusting a bigger picture, trusting your soul's inner knowing? And that's the sextile, activating the sextile to Neptune and Saturn. And the trine is supporting it to Uranus. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't turn my lights on. I turn them on with my hands, but a lot of other weird stuff happens around the house. So let's start let's start our readings. You guys ready? We start with the birthday month. And again, happy birthday to my Capricorns. This is a lot of energy happening around you this particular week, this month, with all the planets so close together. Sort of think of them as a council, I kind of think of like, Pluto's over here and Aquarius at the far end of the council. Mars is over at the other end of the council. And if you think about Pluto and Mars are like malefics, right? Boom, they're pushing in for a deeper truth. And will you not just have the faith, but will you take the action to discipline yourself into asking yourself, am I defaulting to the old fear-based story of limitation, or does this stressing moment, this annoyance, actually have the ingredients to push me over to the other side? I'm not doing this anymore. It's not sustainable. I'm not being responsible to something I don't want to build. There we go. All right. Let's see our tarot card for the week for our Capricorns. Oh, great. Well, welcome, Roselight 77. What a beautiful name that is. Oh, and look at this, the 4 of Pentacles. This is an interesting energy for our Capricorns because it's about holding on to something too tightly. And what is Saturn in its lowest vibration? It represents restriction and limitation. So let's see what Spirit has to say, because this is perfect for this new moon. And while I normally, for the big group I talk about, or I have historically said this is whole sign, I really encourage you to look at your natal charts in Placidus. That house system and the degree of your rising sign is very important, because if you are a late degree Capricorn rising, it makes most of your first house Aquarian. And it puts a lot of karma in Capricorn of the 12th house, which means you have a lot of history somewhere that you want to work through. So, and it could be about feeling restriction or feeling like I've got, to save for a rainy day beyond balance. This guy has the Midas touch to create wealth, but then he holds it too tight. I know. Everything's going to move a lot faster. With the planets moving into fire and air, holy crap, the days are going to seem like zip, zip, zip. All right, our first angel for our Capricorns is Merlina. The second is Maya, which is reversed. The third is Rochelle. In the angel's advice, and the final is Seraphina, and she's reversed. Merlina is an energy of potential confusion. I don't always buy that, because why is Merlina, the female version of the wizard, confused? So to me, this is potentially about being aware of your magic. Capricorn, Merlina is being joined by the forgiveness card. Maya is being joined, and Maya is reversed by the B card, which is a card of good luck. Rochelle is being joined by the Queen. And Seraphina, who is reversed, is being joined by the dog. Okay, so this is a recalibration for my Capricorns. The Four of Pentacles is asking you, where are you holding on to something too tightly? Where are you not allowing it to grow because you're crunching it, you're smushing it? And it could be the idea. The forgiveness card is never for forgiveness for me. I am an Aries rising and a Taurus moon. I remember things like an elephant. So I don't think that you're confused. I think you could potentially be a little trepidation about old habits, which is this Four of Pentacles, and being more open to things you can't see with your eyes, because the B card is all about your being energy. What do you believe? Your victory comes from what do you believe? And that belief is what you think about, and it's what you take your action on. And right now, this Maya being upside down, you're having a challenge potentially, and this is where Saturn coming into the late degrees of Pisces could be stressing, you to act on what you have been learning from a metaphysical, spiritual, astrological point of view. And do you believe truly and wholeheartedly that you can receive without over efforting? Because Rochelle is about following your heart, and the Queen is about reception. She is relaxed. She knows her place. And Rochelle also, she's actually kind of my favorite angel, because she talks about what you want is coming into your experience, but your challenge is to be aware of your true being energy, because you're caught between one thought, two ways of viewing it. One is, if I don't hold tight to things, the Four of Pentacles, will everything around me, my family, the things that I love, jump up, turn topsy-turvy? Will they go bonky, wonky, whatever the word is? And the dog is saying, no, it won't. Stay the course. Stay the course. Be loyal to that which you are building from a spiritual point of view, from a point of view that is saying, my soul stretches for something bigger. And now is a time for me to enjoy that energy, that focus. And I want to offer this because as I look at this Capricorn, it feels very creative to me. And I don't mean like art. I mean, starting to think of what you're building as, one brick on top of another brick. And every once in a while, when you go from the brick pile to the stacking, you drop a brick and it breaks. No big deal. There's more bricks over here. So you will, any confusion that you have about this solar return, any trepidation you have about, the idea that Saturn has been so prevalent in all the transits, and Most of them have been about Saturn's restriction. This is where Saturn says the discipline you continue to display will bring awareness to where you're holding things too tight out of habit, and then you'll be able to start to unravel that habit. Okay, let's move on. Hi, Stephen. Good to see you. Hi, J-Dog. Did I say hi to everybody? I don't know if I started talking. Do a quick scan of the chat. Hi, Boom Chaka. That's a fun name. Boom Chaka Chaka, Boom Chaka Chaka. I can't stop this feeling. Okay, sorry, I digress. Okay. I loved that song my whole life. I think it came out when I was in junior high or early high school. Lucy's actually Lulu, although she could probably be called Lucy. I found out her first name was Annie. Her first owner called her Annie, which is so interesting to me. Where is she? Oh, she's on the floor. I don't know if you can see her. She's right over here by the chair, sleeping in the sun. She got a bath yesterday and she looks so good. Oh, that's such a nice resolution. And I think it should be pretty easy to implement. Okay, here we go. Oh, I love this for my Aquariuses. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. This is the 10 of Cups. Venus has entered the house. Pluto is obviously transiting your first house and redefining who you are. That's very exciting, the 10 of Cups. Let's see where we're going. I almost feel like when I said that, I heard in my head, plan for your solar return. Plan for your happiness. Plan for your days at the beach with the people that you love, where there's fun and excitement and laughter. You know, you're the sign of the future. You're the sign of innovation. You're the sign of liberation. And your ruling planet, both of them, frankly, Uranus is making a trine to this new moon. And Saturn, the co-ruler, is making a sextile. And I think it's important to remember that for a long time before we discovered Uranus, Saturn ruled Aquarius, where it really represented the higher vibrations, of the future that Saturn offers. So Saturn's energy is not necessarily restrictive here. It just, again, requires discernment. Is this sustainable? Am I in this group because I really want to be in this group, or am I in this group because I got nothing, I've been here so long I can't leave, or, whatever the story is. I say now, or, seize the day, as they say. All right. Aquarius, our first angel is Caressa. She's the angel of endings, but she's upside down. Athena is upside down. She's also an angel of power. Oh, okay. Oh, for a second, I thought I got two. Rochelle is here again in the angel's advice. And then Celeste, which is interesting because Celeste can usher in a literal move, but oftentimes I see it as a shift in the way that I'm thinking, because you can take and put my body anywhere I think a certain way, and I'm going to take my actions on that. I think foggy days are the best days to go to the beach. It's when it's the quietest. It was so nice last night. The ocean was just, the waves were crashing, and it was so dark outside, and you could see the stars. I love waking up in the middle of the night and hearing the water. Okay, Caressa is being joined by the raven. Now, again, Caressa is upside down, so there is not an ending of some kind. Something is continuing. Athena is being joined by the bee, and the bee was in the same position in the previous spread. Merlin is joining Rochelle. That's awesome. And then finally is the deer here. Okay, joining Celeste. Often when you see Caressa, she talks about being comforted during an end of a cycle. But in the reverse position, she would indicate that things aren't changing. They're transforming into magic. And part of your opportunity is to no longer pick there is no meat on this skull. This skull has been picked over plenty, and it's time to fly. No more squawking about something. There is something going on that is bringing in a series of synchronistic events that are going to confirm for you the opportunity to step into this energy. And that 10 of Cups is not, it doesn't happen to you. You create it, because what's happening here is Athena is upside down. So somewhere you don't see how safe it is for you to assert yourself into what it is you want. What I believe wholeheartedly is going to happen when we finally have the outer planets settle into their new signs, humanity is going to understand, especially with Uranus and Gemini, that our thoughts are things. And we are going to become much more empowered by that, which is why the structures, the governments, and everything that's going on right now is writhing. There's so much gangster energy in our outer worlds, because we are about to individually become extremely powerful. And this is exactly what this is saying for you. Your being energy, your awareness, your victory, your good luck comes from your willingness to be industrious about your own energy. And in the angel's advice is Rochelle saying, follow your heart, because Merlin says that's where the balance is. That's where the alchemy is. That's where the money is. That's where the justice is. Now here, this is an interesting thing, because I just said that Celeste for me is a shift in the way that I'm thinking. And here's the deer asking you to be gentle with yourself while you do this. Because Uranus in and of itself is electric. There is Aquarius energy rules the nervous system. And when we look to what has been stable and then move into the future, and with so much AI and technology, there's a huge wobble in how we perceive our safety and security. So being gentle with yourself as you recognize that the magic comes from within. Okay, that as you stay aligned to your safety, your abundance, your health, being vibrant. And as long as you are on a soul level living your contract, you'll get through this period of time. So this is the easiest way to make it easiest for you, So, and also that Capricorn energy is in your 12th house. And in that 12th house, you're having an opportunity to set the seeds for a new experience and a karmic cleansing. I want to put it that way. Okay. Mercury and Mars conjunct during this moon, 26 degrees. Okay. I have to say that my morning walk with Lulu is not always the most pleasant, because she thinks she's a reindeer and I'm Santa Claus, because I've been eating a lot of cakes lately. I'm starting to look like Santa Claus, I think. But anyway, when she walks down the street, she just literally almost takes flight. It's so cute and prancy. All right, here we go. On to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I had a lot of comments on the Pisces video for people at 29 degrees Pisces. God bless you. The Knight of Wands is your card. This is beautiful, okay, because your ruling planet is about to go into a fire sign. And while the initial part of that transit can feel very uncomfortable, just remember to keep your eye on the dog. You're in the waters, you're rowing in the right direction, and just stay loyal. And I want to offer this too, because Saturn coming up in these, mastering degrees, and what Saturn's been doing through the whole transit, let's not be shy about it, is basically dissolving and limiting and pushing up against every single one of us. What is sustainable for you? What do you really want to experience? Are you being compassionate from a point of view that actually is erosive to you? Are you deceiving yourself about your own creativity and your own strength? Are you being a supporting character instead of the lead in your own story? Oh, that's nice, Stephen. That's an opportunity to make more money. Money, money, money. Yeah, and as you get brave about thoughts about yourself and how you speak to yourself, and this is what I want to say too, is that every word has a vibration to it. It has a more than just a meaning. It sends resonance out into the universe, and the inflection adds oomph. So when we're very, very angry, we will send that out and we'll get it back. When we say, show me the money, and we are happy and, pretty much in that vibration of reception, interesting things will start happening. Okay, here we go. Pisces, the Knight of Wands. This feels like creativity reignited. Let's see where we're going. We have Desiree. She's about conditions. We have Francesca. That's about visualization. We have Vanessa is about faith or fear. And then finally, we have Archangel Gabriel. Okay, there's a lot about self-talk. Angela, welcome. From Greece. Thank you for being here. Scorpio, Sun, Leo, rising. Oh, that's a lot of leadership, a lot of power, girl. A lot of power. Okay, let's see where we're going, Pisces. Whoops. The knights in the deck are kind of like teenagers or early virile energy. And I almost feel like when I'm looking at the dog and I'm looking at the character in this particular card, there is a connection that has to happen. There's something here going. Do you see the connection between the guy looking at the dog? So for my Pisces, I'm thinking if we're going into some sort of situation, okay, Desiree is being joined by the frog, being aware of your emotional body until you actually, when you start doing a vision board and you're worried or you don't believe or you're struggling with something, don't do that vision board because the vibration of it will not be what you're looking for. It'll be like you're lying to yourself. So be mindful, go take a walk. If you're a Pisces, go for a swim, put your feet in salt water, get near the water of some way, listen to, whale sounds on YouTube or something so you can align to this creativity or to this feeling, having a sense of passion, having a sense of vitality about the future. Vanessa says, what do you desire right now? Because you're visualizing it and it's upside down. So whatever you're visualizing is interesting because the spider card is a relationship card for me. And it's a relationship with, a bigger network, the web, not just the World Wide Web. I almost feel like if this is Pisces, you could particularly feel like you've been caught in a web. You could feel like you've been caught in deceptions, you've been caught in lies, and they've been repetitive. There's that master degrees of these planets, Saturn and Neptune, making a sextile. You have to activate a sextile. It's an interactive aspect that brings favor. So when you sit down and you're like, okay, I'm ready to leapfrog onto a new lily pad, and I don't need to release that baggage. What I get to do is focus on the future. Because I really truly believe that it's not possible for humans to truly erase the chalkboard of their experiences. So rather than fight that old thing, I go to the future. So you get to visualize partnerships and relationships and interactions in the future. Vanessa in the Angel's Advice is being joined by the horse. And the horse is interesting because it's a Sagittarian energy for me. I also feel like when I look at it, it talks about accepting help and delegating authority, but I feel like it's moved to the future. Vanessa says to make your decisions, look to the future. How will it feel when I'm in flow with relationships? How will it feel when I'm in flow with money? It'll feel easy. I'll feel confident. I'll feel secure. There's so many things because Archangel Gabriel is all about self-talk. And Pisces is one of the most, honestly, the most vulnerable signs to having so much compassion and empathy for things that are out of their control, that this is why it also rules escapism and drug addiction. Because the world gets so dark and then they're so invisible, they don't get to transcend, that darkness easily. If you've come in with Pisces, you're here to live your soul in the human body. And there's Merlin. The magic comes from your words. the magic, the balance, the alchemy, everything comes from your words. So make them creative, make them aligned to what you want to experience, and don't be limiting about it. Again, this guy is flowing down the river, and if you look in the background, the water is clear and it's calm. You can see the reflection of the trees. So this week, as your ruling planet moves into literally your second house of skills, or could still be your first house, depending upon Placidus, chances are highly unlikely it's your third house, but it could be. I did a chart for a gal a few weeks ago. She had 3 signs in the first house in Placidus. If we would have pushed that into whole sign, it would have dumbed down who she is as a human. So this is really about starting to look at your real self-talk and align it to what you want to experience. Okay, on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. This transit's creeping up on my south node, which I think is so interesting. Like really feel like I've been dissolving old habits, old Aryan habits, as my south node is 3 degrees of Aries, which makes my north node 3 degrees Libra. Okay, Aries, your card is the Page of Pentacles. If this guy doesn't look like a dreamer, and he's not just dreaming, he's dreaming about how he's going to make his magic in the material world. It's a new energy. It hasn't been marred by experience yet. Let's see where we're going, Aries. Your ruling planet is part of this new moon. And Archangel Uriel wants to fly out of the deck. Archangel Uriel is about anger and frustration. When Mars is in Capricorn, it's much more patient, but I don't mean patient for the sake of patience. I mean it understands strategy. So how I perceive Mars in Capricorn would be like if I natally had Mars in Capricorn and I'm in a meeting with my boss, I wouldn't necessarily tell him everything I was thinking. I would keep it to myself. I would start strategizing on how to get around the boss as I was listening to his words. Because remember, Mars is the co-ruler of Scorpio and it understands psychology. So Mars in Capricorn, where it's exalted, not only takes action succinctly and with the strategy, it knows the psychology of how it's going to play out. Or at least it's pretty damn close. I don't know. It says my connection is, I haven't got any warnings that my connection isn't good. Okay, here we go. I turned all the monetization off too, so hopefully there's no commercials. All right, Page of Pentacles for our Aries. And I just got the very strong feeling too for Aries to think about Aries moon. I think the moon is the most important sign on the whole zodiac. Okay. And then your rising and then your sun, because your moon is your emotional body, which sets your perspective and your sense of self. And then, the ego is projected out into the world. But no, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, no, I forgot what I was going to say. The struggle is real, but the struggle is real in all of the signs, whether if you're too soft or, don't feel effectual, that's hard too. We all pick these, that's why I think we pick these natal charts, because it's like a roadmap on a vacation, only Earth doesn't feel like a vacation unless you make it one. Okay, Aries, Archangel Gabriel, the angel of communication, and your planet, Mars, is conjunct Mercury. We have Seraphina joining in the opportunity of the obstacle, but she's still upside down. We have Vanessa again. We think faithfully or fearfully. Oh, and there's Archangel Uriel. I knew he would come out, the angel of anger and frustration. So clearly, the angels are saying for Aries, it's time to start to look to the future, to leave the old wars, the old fights. Could you continue to battle on? Yes, but is it interrupting from your future? That's what it looks like here. Let's add. Hey, just call me. See, I hope I said good morning. Okay, Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the owl, deception and wisdom. Really, for an Aries person, an Aries moon. I'm in 26 degrees Aries rising. I absolutely think I'm very Aryan, which makes most of my first house Taurus, where my moon is. That owl is now wisdom. That's Saturn. What will you do? What will you talk about? What will you think about? Do you want to live in the 3D world, a life that's actually the one you're dreaming of? Are your thoughts aligned to that? Because if you're going back and forth, because it doesn't matter whether you're right, it doesn't matter whether somebody screwed you over or not. If going back to fight that direction holds you back from your future, now is a time to really decide if that's what you want to, where you want to go, because that would be an old habit. And Neptune moving into Aries is saying, look at your life and your bravery and your pioneering spirit from the soul's perspective. They always say living a great life is the best revenge. Seraphina is being joined by the risk card. This is funny because Seraphina is upside down. Seraphina again would be saying here in this that, a happy change is not coming unless you risk it. You have to risk it. If you don't go into battle, and Aries doesn't know what to do when it doesn't go into battle sometimes. It doesn't know how, it hasn't practiced the transformation. And in these modern times, that Aries energy feels very strong. The wanting to, we're going into the 250th anniversary of the United States being born, and that Pluto return is really powerful in stoking the Aries energy. I say that because, again, Pluto and Mars co-rule Scorpio. Vanessa in the dog, in the angel's advice, be faithful and loyal to what it is that you want, not what you have experienced in the past. Because this gets a little challenging at the end for my Aries, because the protection card and Archangel Uriel being straight up is that the protection card is a 38. So it's indicating again that you're still thinking about potentially things that don't serve your future. It doesn't have to be active anger. It could be frustration. It could be, this is my story. This always happens to me, blah, blah, blah. It's time for Aries to start to, because, we've got Chiron in Aries and it's making a square to Jupiter and has been for a while. And they're in orb. And with Jupiter in Cancer, it can very well be like Aries in the family energy or the mother energy conflicts. And sometimes Aries will be like more angry than they'll be constructive. So here kind of Spirit's asking you and calling you to task and asking you to start to root in the life you want to live, not the life you've been living. Seems reasonable to me as my Aries rising. Because I feel like a lot of our challenges throughout life can be triggered at any time. But how we deal with the trigger is different. When we start to use Saturn's energy, because when Saturn moves into Aries, I really think this is kind of, I like this idea because it feels like Saturn again is bringing that sustainability. It's kind of like with Mars and Capricorn. It slows down the more impulsiveness of Aries, the more irrational or reactive part of Aries. And this is where I really think that this is where the bravery comes in, is pioneering into a place that you never thought could potentially happen until you put some focus in on it. Okay. Oh, thank you. Oh, post it up. You girl, you are so amazing. Thank you so much. And your daughter is so amazing. What a wonderful child. She's not a child. She's a young woman, but thank you so much. Okay, are you ready for our Tauruses? Oh, a little challenging. This is a 5 of Pentacles. And the first thing I saw when I looked at this was feeling out in the cold. And Taurus is the silent one. I'm not silent at all, but it is considered the voice and sometimes insecurity because it's where our resources are. And Uranus is making its last few months. I think it's a few months, maybe July. I'd have to look at my notes when it's going to move into Gemini and stay there. So I think that what this is it is asking Taurus, and again, we're going to pull the other cards. Where do you feel out in the cold? And where are you looking down and you don't see a door that's calling you forth? That's those 5 sunflowers. Taurus holds on to history. As my Taurus moon in the first house, man, I don't forget a damn thing. And I can forget it when there's been a reconciliation or there's been some sort of even exchange of energy. I'll forget it, absolutely. But I don't come from people like that. I come from people who don't actually apologize. They'll either say, get over it, or that's who I am, or let it go. That's how I learned to hate that saying. I had to say, let it grow, because to let it go felt absolutely like fuck off, like they were telling me to fuck off. I hate to be so blunt and crass, but that's how it felt to me. So Taurus, let's see where we're going, because Uranus may take you right out of that and you'll be like, I ain't feeling out in the cold anymore at all. I'm not doing this anymore. Welcome, Jenny G33. Happy new moon. What time is it? I don't know what the time is. Is it 11:51 yet? I don't think yet. I think I started at 11 and it says it's 46 minutes into the broadcast. So we have a few minutes, 11:47. There we go. All right. So it looks like we might be on, if I can talk too long, we'll either be on Taurus or Gemini during this. All right. First angel is Archangel Gabriel. Then Grace and Antoinette. Akasha's a spiritual teacher. Whoops. And finally, Chantal. That's the angel of romance and love. Cancer sun, Virgo moon, Scorpio rising. Okay. So the Cancer sun is having Jupiter. That's really good. Virgo moon has that south node asking you to be emotionally less picky on yourself, or less perfectionist, or less stuck in your routines, because it wants to erode something. Scorpio rising. Scorpio is such the power. I really think Scorpio is the most, when you come in with strong Scorpio energy, you're coming in for a big reason. I don't care. It doesn't have to be your sun. It could be, it depends on the planets and the configurations, but Scorpio is the most intuitive sign, has the most power, rules money, it rules sex, it rules control and power. I mean, it's just, it can be very, very good and then very, very bad. The unconscious Scorpio energy is, pretty challenging. I think everybody tends to, when they look at your sign, they go right to the dark side of it. And this is a natural human tendency. And I think that's one of the things the transits are bringing to our awareness, is the natural tendency to go to the deficit, the fear, the limitation, whatever the scary thing is. And I think those of us that have been practicing awareness are going to start to look how that dark thing or that deficit is actually a leg up in some way. All right, Taurus. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the Queen. Okay. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Joy card. Kasha's being joined by the Fire Fairy. And Chantal is being joined by the Spider. Well, this is very interesting, okay? Because whatever the Five of Pentacles is representing for you personally, you must be feeling out in the cold, or maybe you're even not feeling, potentially you could be feeling a little challenged with your health. If you are feeling challenged with your health, and I want to offer this as a personal observation, I've been in a little bit of a weird place where I've been making cakes, and I made my own cream cheese frosting. I was making red velvet little mini cakes, and I was actually having trouble breathing. And the breathing was coming from all the sugar and butter and cream cheese that I was ingesting in the frosting. And when I stopped eating those cakes, my lungs cleared. So look bigger in how you're eating. Taurus rules food, but also what you're saying to yourself. Because if you're limiting yourself, if you're focusing in on feeling out in the cold, feeling rejected, not feeling obviously well in some way, then you're not standing in the Queen's energy. The Queen is asking you to sit in a receptive energy of understanding. Thank you, Aboom Chaka. Is asking you, Taurus, this is where the Taurus rules resources, and it rules the give and take of resources. And when you start to think there's flow, because Grace and Antoinette is asking for compassion and seeing things from another side of the room, the other person's point of view. And then there's this joy card. And the joy card is a 37 that reduces down to a 10. So joy doesn't come to you. It's not bestowed upon you. It's something that you co-create through your perception and through your ability to be compassionate. And it may be compassionate to yourself for feeling like this, because Akasha is the teacher in the angel's advice. And the fire fairy is about optimism and creativity, and about and not being positive. Being positive is not really very good when you feel negative. It's like putting gasoline on a fire, because there's so much resistant energy. And I want to say this because this ends in a relationship situation. So potentially there could be things going on in a relationship, but also the relationship that you have with yourself or money. Because Chantal is ringing Venus to me. And Venus just moved into Aquarius. And the spider is not just my relationship card, it's also a network card. So when I looked at this, I felt like immediately Taurus was thinking things were closing down. And actually, by changing my perspective and seeing myself open up, things were going to start to move forward again. So, and if we just think about this, the activity that's going on in Aries, which is, and this is the kind of a bigger key for me, Chiron squaring Jupiter, okay? Jupiter is my beliefs, my expansion, my connection to the angelic realm. And the moon rules Cancer, my emotions, how am I feeling? Jupiter here may have nothing to do with your home in the physical, but everything to do with your home in the spiritual. And the fight that it's having, or the argument with Chiron, is that me wanting to stay in that Aries energy of being mad because it's been unjust, or there's been a lack of justice. But rather than saying, well, that's just another human who's never going to give it to me. They're never, fixed signs. Some of them, I know a gal who has a stellium in Aries in the 9th house, and it just makes them full of themselves. They really never apologize. Moon in Aquarius. And every time you need some sort of empathy from that person, they push their problems and say, my problems are bigger than your problems. So you can't fight that energy. So you shouldn't feel out in the cold about it. That's what I'm trying to say. I hope that made sense, because I felt like I went a little off kilter there at the end. But let's move on to our Geminis. Oh, that's so, having your kids, your grandkids with you, that's life affirming. That's some of the best medicine. 7 of Swords, Moon in Aquarius. I would buy that. That's a good transfer of energy. Although in one of my decks, the 7 of Swords is really interesting because it's very reflective, and it shows the stag, but it's looking through the lens of the childhood. So, all right, ready, Gemini? Here. Oh, and look, it's your card. The Lovers is a Gemini card, literally. It's about making a choice. It's making a commitment. The 2 of Cups is connection. The Lovers is commitment. So let's see where we're going. Oh, yay, Gemini ascendant. All right, here we go. This reading's for you, darling. This card is also, I want to comment that in this card, the gaze that these 2 characters have towards each other is one of reverence. So this is leading me to think, Gemini, the choices that will come before you are one that you make with reverence, that you make with very strong intention to hold and cherish those decisions. So no matter, I guess what I'm trying to say is sort of like, because Gemini can go back and forth and deliberate and get more information, and that information is supposed to give clarity, but instead of clarity, it creates more confusion. And now your ruling planet is up against Mars, right? So you could be, there's the hot words, or the being pissed off at what I'm reading or what I'm learning. But then there's the bravery of Mars on the other side going, let me discern what I'm learning. Let me discern this information. Does this feel right within me? And then commit to it. Commit to it from the inside out. Hate is a strong vibration, and it's actually really damaging because it doesn't usually damage the object of hate. It damages the inferno of hate, that whoever's carrying that inferno. Compassion is never really about the other person. It's about the self. I don't know if I hate anything. Maybe beef tongue. I really don't like beef tongue in my mouth. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Lula. It's actually Lulu. A lot of people call her Lula. I've called her Luna recently, and she responds to anything that starts with LU. So she's very funny. All right. Here we go. Gemini. Francesca is upside down. What do you visualize? That would mean you're visualizing something negative. Chantal is upside down. Now this is love, and this is, commitment in love. We got the lovers there too. Opal is upside down. Holy moly, we got a lot of upside down. And Mystique. This is not easy here. So we're topsy-turvy in how we think. We must be going back and forth. The Chantal is just not feeling that reignition or that passion is headed, not understanding potentially that there is wisdom, that there is a bigger hand on this. And then there could be a feeling of exhaustion because Mystique is saying to keep charging ahead and don't take no for an answer, but she's upside down. Lulu's behind me. I'll go get her in a second and I'll show you. She's right behind me. The Grail Knight is literally seeking the sacred, and it's bowing down. It's Sir Lancelot, okay? So really this goes back here. This goes back to making a commitment to something that you hold sacred that doesn't necessarily have a strong footing in the earthly realm yet. It's still in the vortex. Chantal upside down is being joined by the raven. This is synchronicity. So somewhere this would indicate that Gemini gets to line up and commit to whatever it is that they hold sacred, what they want to experience, what they cherish. It's not about it coming out to you. It's about you holding the space and then drawing it in. We have Opal, who's upside down in the love card. You may not know it right now. You may be walking through some very, when I think about it, Pisces, all the mutable signs are being affected by those last degrees of Pisces. And in that, there is tension and this feeling of dissolving, this feeling of structures we've depended upon eroding. Now, this love card, sometimes parents do things, if we think of God or the universe even as reflecting back to us what we're putting out, that may feel harsh. We may feel unprotected right now, but there's a bigger hand, because when you start to align to things that you can't see, and I mean this in a way that feels like I have to unravel the busy mind first. I have to get past whatever I'm angry about, whatever is frustrating me. Mystique is being joined by the physical health. Oh my gosh. Look at that. The Earth Fairy is all about foundations, physical health, and well-being, and grounding. And Mystique is about, you're tired. You're tired of the journey. And yet Spirit is asking you, Saturn is really demanding that you go another mile. You're almost at the finish line. Don't quit. I want to offer this. I don't know why I want to say this to my Geminis, but I feel like you need to burn some steam. Like maybe part of this is also giving yourself somewhere to release whatever the frustration might be, or whatever if we're contemplating two things, okay, it could work out this way, or it could work out this way. This way is going to be good. This way is going to be bad. Oh God, oh God, oh God. That needs to be punched out somewhere. So I don't know, maybe it's just going for a long walk and just sort of, walking it off, or walking into awareness or something. But I feel like Gemini gets to use that movement to its advantage in some way. Okay. Did I insult somebody accidentally? Georgia Ballard, have you heard of the telepathy tapes on YouTube? They're about very challenged, nonverbal, autistic children, but it's really fascinating. And I might be helpful as a way to get information and help you deal with your son. Because I believe a lot of kids who are autistic are actually not as autistic on the inside as they appear on the outside. And that's where the frustration can come, because they know what they're trying to get out, but they can't get it out. Okay. Yeah, I think movement is very good for any of the Virgo mercurial ruled house, signs and houses. Movement is super, super good for you when you're in that loop and anxiety. No, you're, yeah, it's not about pushing. Don't ever do what I say. I mean, do what feels authentic to you. I personally am way too lazy as a human to do anything too energetic, and there's nothing physically wrong with me, but I like to walk. I always have. I like to swing on the swings at the park. That's a very comforting feeling for me. So that's another one Gemini could do. If you don't feel like going for a walk, go to the park and swing on the swings and let the rhythm sort of correlate to the idea that life is a flow. And now you're aligning to the flow, and everything you want and everything you need is coming to you, and then commit to that. All right, here's our Cancers. Okay, we have the Five of Swords, but it's upside down. So this is a little bit of a stingy card. It's oftentimes referred to as a card where, you win, but you lose. You're in an argument with somebody, but the argument doesn't end well. But when it's upside down, it lessens it even more. And I just got a hit from Spirit that might be that Cancer is not expressing themselves in some way for fear of confrontation, whatever, ickiness. Lucy, you're here. Hey, girl. Ooh. All right, the gang's all here. Okay, Five of Swords for our Cancers. And it's reversed. So let's see what Spirit has to say. Depending upon the degree of your Cancer energy, especially if you're a late degree Cancer, which already puts you in the anaretic degrees, puts you in the master class of Cancer, you have an opposition to this new moon. Very interesting. Our first angel is Celeste. New home, new place of employment, new shift in the way you're thinking. Oceana is, I think, your angel, because she talks about, I don't know, I always think of Cancer, not only the ocean, but the emotion. Caressa is here in the angel's advice. You're at the end of a life cycle, that happiness awaits you. And then Archangel Uriel is here, but upside down. So whatever's going on, it's about to be over. Because both of these cards, if there was arguments, disagreements, or if there was interior fighting with yourself, or, having some sort of picking on yourself in some way. Yes, I was, as a kid, oh my God, I was on this, and I still, to this day, I move like this. I don't have Venus in Aries. I actually have Venus in Virgo. Makes me really sexy. Not. But my Aries, my second house is Gemini. I have to move a lot, but I don't move for exercise. Saturn 29 degrees Pisces. Wow, that's a total karma clear up. You came in with a karmic intention to master that Pisces energy, grounded in the real world, to build upon it. And I want to offer this, Boom Chaka. Part of this also may be, you developing and allowing more creativity in your life and rooting it in, building a house this year. Oh, there you go. Perfect. Perfect. Now build your dream house, right? Don't cut corners. Don't get the cheaper version of things. Get what you want. And then know the universe will bring all the abundance. All right. Cancer, Celeste, and the owl. I think we saw this before. Very interesting. So this is definitely about your mind, about shifting your mind, about kind of going back between trusting your intuition and the traditions of what you have lived up until now. Oceana is being joined by the cat, which is very interesting. We have Caressa being joined by the dog, but the dog is upside down. And then we have the burden card being joined by Archangel Uriel. This is interesting because there's something about your emotional body that is demanding protection, and not protection like from the outside world, from the interior world, from how you're processing your interactions with others. If you're holding on to stuff for fear of retaliation or contempt, it's time to learn how to express some of those, maybe what considers darker emotions, in a way that has compassion for the self versus compassion for the other. Because Oceana is saying to have emotional, somewhere Spirit is saying to have emotional boundaries with somebody or a situation or a dynamic, because something's not in balance here. Caressa talks about the end of a life cycle, and the dog would talk about loyalty. And if you're not feeling loyalty from somebody, or you're not feeling that the relationship is give and take, it might be time to start. That might come up for you in this new moon. You may it might start to reveal to you that, again, the cardinal signs are kind of, they're half fixed and half mutable. They're the middle ground. The mutables might sometimes be a little too loosey-goosey, and the fixed are a little too tight. And here, because there's a burden here of something. There's a burden of releasing frustration. There's a burden of feeling potentially frustration from someone else, or feeling anger. This is a little challenging, I'm not going to lie. And that's what these anaretic degrees are, if we think about the Cancer energy, Taurus sextiles that. So Uranus could be bringing up something, the new moon could be bringing up something, and you're being called upon to actually, ignite something within yourself that deciphers your own thoughts about something. It's kind of like, a leopard. I want to put it this way. Sometimes we love people and we love being around people, but there are large parts of them that drive us crazy. And if we can just sort of reframe that, we can decide whether it's worth being in the relationship or whether we need to step out. Yeah, these are the little guys, is live and let live, right? No, that's like a little bit of defeat, honestly. And I'm not necessarily saying you should go confront the other person. I think what this is more for Cancer to look at on the interior of, because sometimes it's just best to sidestep something. It's not because you were not willing to confront it. It's because confronting it is like banging your head against the wall, and it's just a burden. I have a sister who, is so interesting. I don't talk to her for almost 10 years, and we interact twice. And I started to talk about my life, and her response was, I didn't call to hear about your life. I called to ask you a question. And I didn't get mad. I just was like, well, there's final confirmation for me. I'm done. And I pray for her, and I do it not for her. I pray for her because I don't ever want to see her again in any lifetime, in any realm, for any reason, because she's just not a nice person to me. Maybe she's a nice person to other people, but not to me. So that's my solution. All right. Who's got a dog? If someone has a dog who's a bull rider? Or is it a human? Oh yeah, my sister's. I mean, I honestly think she's dangerous. You know, me, my Aries rising and my Taurus moon, she can stoke that fire in me and that anger, and I can be reactive and so I don't think at 66 years old I'm prey to that as much anymore. But when I was younger, I got so gaslit, it wasn't even funny. And I just kept going back in. And then, things happened in life, sad things that brought illuminations. All right, Leo, here we go. Ooh, the Page of Fire, Wands. I love this. This looks good. Page is considered a youthful energy, and yet it's depicted by quite a mature man with a big beard. So let's see where we're going with this, because the minute I saw it, I thought to myself, oh, Leo, you have that opposition to Pluto. And in that opposition, you get to really start to transform your life, start thinking of it more creatively. Some people, I think, are inherently feel less than, and they want other people to make them feel more than. And I can't dumb down. I may not be everybody's cup of tea because I'm not naturally insecure, but I'm not naturally secure. I'm just naturally me. So, and, given certain circumstances, I don't know. I just don't care anymore, to be honest with you. I remember when we were younger, when we were like teenagers, I used to say, if she wasn't my sister, I wouldn't even be her friend. So I knew at a young age, I just hung on until I was 50 something years old for my dad. And then once my dad died, men don't realize how much they're the glue in a family. They always think it's the mama, happy life, happy wife, or happy wife, happy life. But really, it's the men that really create that, at least my experience. All right, Leo, let's see where the Page of Wands is calling you to grab onto your passions. We see the Victory card in the form of Omega. We see Sonia, which is reversed. We see Athena, which is about power and asserting yourself. And then Archangel Raphael is upside down. All right. Oh, really? How nice of your sister tried calling you. All right. Omega is being joined by the owl. Very interesting for my Leos. Sonia is being joined by the stag. Athena's being joined by the cow. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the dragon. Okay. This is an interesting situation because Omega is victory. Okay. And then this owl is about the differentiating between deception and wisdom. So the page is not representing creativity. It's representing starting to look at things from a different point of view, or to contemplate things from a different point of view. That's where your victory will come, not setting yourself up to only see things one way. Now, interestingly, Sonia talks about a deceased loved one, but I think this is your connection to your soul. It's upside down. And the stag is about pride. You know what the Leo, the lion, rules? The pride. So here, be mindful. Are you standing in leadership, or are you standing in pride? Because what you believe may be true, but is it serving you? Because the angels are literally talking about asking and receiving in the form of the cow, and then asserting yourself in that respect. So there's a give and take in something, because this ends a little bit challenging. how this ends is with Archangel Raphael upside down and the dragon upside down. So I'm going to have to pull another card because something is continuing. You're going through some sort of process, some sort of illumination. And, I want to offer this too, because Leo, people always say, oh, Leo, blah, blah, blah. If you're a Leo rising with most of your Leo energy in the 12th house, all of that is invisible. All of that Leo energy is actually, kind of submerged in the water. So it really would depend on the degree, because here there's something is the healing, the illumination is not taking place. There's a lack of power somehow. And I need to pull a card to see what that is. I'm going to pull one of the Camelot cards. The truth is coming straight up. Okay. So if indeed you are wrestling with new ideas, new things you want to venture into, new energies of how you want to feel, and you're going back and forth, somehow your victory comes from not necessarily taking action right now, but being aware of what your deeper truth is and why you are doing it. I have to tell you, frankly, when I started this YouTube channel, first thing I wanted to do was prove that I had wisdom, okay? And my sister's energy was part of that, because she always freaking undermined me, made me sound like an alcoholic who was angry and hostile, and, just really pulled and illuminated all the dark sides of Teri. And, wanting to build a big following just to show her and give her the bird. Then once that was one layer. Then the second layer was, I'm an old lady. I'm almost, 60 years. When I started this, I was in my 50s. I'm 66 years old. And, this last transit last year was like lifting the rug on all that bullshit. I'm not going to be any more secure by punching out YouTube videos to the point that it kills me. I'm not going to be any better than my sister. It doesn't matter how many viewers I have. It's not going to win her over. And I took 2025 off. I went through so much crap. Lucky died. Mike died. Jeremy died. I died on some level. And then when I came back this January with the videos that I did them because I was enjoying them, because I think these things are important, and I started to recalibrate. Leo, you got to recalibrate yourself somehow. Why are you playing to an audience that you really want to play to? Are you playing to your heart? Are you playing to a sense of your own pride? I'm proud of what I'm doing, or pride that's stuck and stubborn somewhere? Because the Page of Wands is really declaring that you come into these new experiences with passion, with a sense of maturity about what you're endeavoring, even if it's new, and to hold it tight, meaning to hold it like it's the staff that carries you moving forward, the walking stick, for lack of a better term. Oh, Leo is recalibrating, absolutely. Pluto may seem really malevolent, but I believe Pluto and Saturn are some of your best friends, because they just rip the Band-Aid off of the bullshit. They get down to the psychological nature of the truth. And, because I've met people who married into great wealth, and, it was nothing but a golden noose. It was so emotionally bankrupt, and they felt starved. And yet the outside world would say, look what you have, and have no compassion for the emotional interior. And that's the impetus of everything, is the emotional interior, which is why Neptune and Saturn's conjunction is so incredibly important, as it gets on the world axis and hovers for the next 6 months around each other before Saturn books it through Aries. Okay, on to our Virgos. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The Justice card, but it's also a balance card. Let's look and see where we're going, because it's upside down. And that could be that South Node. Hi, Jenny. Did I say hi to Jenny? That's my plan in my next life, is to be, or maybe later in this lifetime, to create a family that I get to eat with and interact with, and isn't remote, and be grateful for them, even if they drive me nuts. I don't mind people driving me nuts. It's more about My sister is just straight up passive aggressive. She's a Libra rising. She's so sneaky. She has Mars in the 12th house of Virgo. She's absolutely my hidden enemy. And nobody sees it. And those that see it won't acknowledge it. So I just move away from it. Yes, it's going to be a very busy week. All right, Virgo. Our first angel is Chantal, the angel of romance and love. Archangel Uriel is the angel of frustration. Layla is the angel of taking time to walk in nature and connect with spirit. It's upside down, though. And the final is Desiree, heralding, actually, because she's upside down, that it's the time to do something or be something. Is Boom Shock leaving? Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And we hope you'll come back again. Virgo Sun conjunct Pluto, Georgia. That's a lot. You know, the sun moves so fast. To be born when it's conjunct Pluto is about the transformation of the ego and to release slavery, to release that never-ending loop of, I have Pluto conjunct my Venus, which is why I think I focus so much on self-worth and words and, you know, the psychological, you know, ramifications and opportunities from the Venus energy of believing that we can receive. And it's in my 5th house. All right. Chantal is being joined by the Trust card. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the High Priestess. Very interesting. Layla's being joined by the Raven. And Desiree is being joined by the Wealth card. Okay, so right now the Justice card, the Relationship card, the card that rules both the Libra energy. You know what I just realized? I haven't thought about it in a long time. The 11 is also, it's the 11th card of the tarot. So this has something to do with the way you're thinking. Something where you could be potentially entrenched in a way of thinking, and that South Node is just pulling on it, wanting to move out the perfectionism, the stuck to routines, the energy that's more challenging for Virgo, because Chantal is really asking you to focus in on what you love and to trust that. The 47 is an 11. It reduces down to an 11. The Raven is a 10, reduces down to a 1. So there's something going on about how you think. Now, Mercury, you're technically your ruling planet, although I kind of buy what Christopher Witecki says about Chiron being your ruling planet or ruling energy, because there's anger and frustration here that sits underneath the surface, and the High Priestess is asking you to actually go into a different part of your I almost don't want to say your mind, but I want to say your mind, because here this is about discernment. It's about prophecy. It's about vision. And somewhere, if that South Node has been eroding something, or you're overworking and people aren't catching up with you, or there's imbalance, there's obviously imbalance somewhere. You're going to have to trust that if you put the brakes on that imbalance, you don't pick up the slack, because something's going on where you need to spend time alone and you're not doing it. And this is where the magic happens. This is where the synchronicity, this is where the potential reconciliation comes in, because conditions are favorable now. We have Desiree's upside down. So she is favorable for wealth. But this Wealth card is not about money. It's about harmony within the mind, harmony within the flow of the experience. That if I always think of Virgo as actually been completely misrepresented, okay? We take the high school experience of Leo, the 5th house of romance, love, and fun, and then we just throw it away when we move into Virgo. Virgo is about working hard. It's about serving other people. It's about your daily habits. It's about your routines. If we were to allow that Virgo energy to be the virgin who's going on a new adventure, taking the skills from the 1st to the 5th house into their service to others, we would find a much more palatable Virgonian energy. That is the South Node right now, trying to erode all those old structures and stretching for that Piscean energy, stretching for that connection to spirit and the soul's voice within. Okay, here we go. Yeah, adulting. How nasty is that? And I don't know that adulting has to be so not fun, because when you're doing something you love, abundance flows, money flows, resources flow. And that's what I really think is going to be the dominant energy that Pluto fosters as Pluto goes through Aquarius. Okay. Lulu, the kids want to see you. Do you want to come? I gave her a bath yesterday. Let me get her before we go into my Libra energy. I'll have Lulu do a little hello to the group. She smells so good. I washed her. I conditioned her. I haven't had her trimmed yet, but we'll see about that. Come say hi to the group. Come say hi. Come here. Here's a girl that smells so good. In fact, it's almost our 3-month anniversary of living together. Look at her hair's all fluffy. She does need a little trim, but doesn't she look so cute? She's so funny. Hi, Lulu. Hi, J-Dog. Isn't she adorable? She's so funny. I swear she does the weirdest stuff. When I sneeze, this dog, speaking of sneezing, she literally goes kooky. She's so funny. She will try to, if I blow my nose, she'll try to come up through my elbows and lick my face. She's such a protector. She's such a love. It's kind of weird to say that, because Lucky's only been gone 3 months barely. And it feels like Lulu's been with me forever. And he's been gone for so long. So this is one of the examples of something that went away that literally broke my heart. I cried like I was going to, I can't even explain. Some of you've heard some of the video when Lucky passed away, but she's getting bigger too. She's gained a little weight. She's finally at her normal weight versus being a too skinny dog. She's 5 years old. Say hello to everybody. We have to get onto our Libras. Do you want to stay on my lap while I do Libra? Okay. Okay, you just stay right there, girl. Okay, Libra. The Page of Swords is here. New ideas. Let's also be mindful of words. The Page of Swords can be a little bit sharp. Let's see where we're going. She is beautiful. She's so funny. She rolls her eyes in her head when I rub her belly, like she's falling to sleep when her eyes are rolling. And then all the whites will show, and it's kind of weird, but we really have become quite a little duo. Yeah? Yeah. She is not really a diva, actually. She's actually kind of more of a tomboy. Okay, do you want to get down or do you want to stay? Okay, we're going to stay. Oops. All right, Libra, Azure came out. Okay, get comfortable, girl. Libra man, awesome. Okay, Libra men, very logical Libra men. We have Azure and then we have Layla. Okay, I'm going to put you down, sweetheart. Thank you. It'll just be easier. She is a snuggly one. Okay, and then we have Rosetta, and then we have Celeste. Okay, so there's going to be new ideas, new thoughts. Your desired outcome will happen in the near future, but let's see what's joining Azure. The Love card. Oh, fun. Layla is being joined by the Swan. Rosetta is being joined by the Dog. Wow. And Celeste is being joined by the Focus card. So I want to put this 2 different ways. Oh, my pleasure. I would have held her a little longer, but she has a chew over there. She's a little weird about her dental chews. She likes to walk around with them in her mouth for a long time and act like I'm going to take them back. But I don't. All right, Libra, getting back on task. 2 things. If you're a little bit if you're more into looking for a relationship, this is really asking you to focus in on what you want. That love there's an opportunity for love or to feel more love, but part of it is you aligning to that love. Now, let me I kind of feel like the audience here is a little bit more mature, maybe not in the height of rockets in flight love, but maybe more of the fireplace, a slow burn, a comfortable feeling. Because I think too that there's the potential of new ideas coming in about lots of things. The Page of Swords isn't ready to shoot his arrow. He's just ready to take aim. Now, what do you love, Libra? What do you want? And when you focus on your desired outcome, it will start to manifest. Layla is asking you to spend more and more time looking at the transformed version of yourself. Wherever you've been, now is now, not then, because the swan is ready to take flight, and to trust your transformation. In the angel's advice is the dog and Rosetta. And I really think that you are a child of God, and now it's time on some level to be loyal to the inner child as well, to the child that believed in magic, to the child that believed in love, to the child that believed in balance. Because while Celeste can represent a new home or a new place of employment, I'm always thinking it's my mind. My mind is the executor of my beliefs, the executor of my emotions, and Spirit's asking you to focus. And I do think that it's best served by spending a lot of time on this new moon, focusing in on what it feels like during the transformed version of your life experience. So for me, I always go to money because I like Taurus moon likes to have resources. So there's a flow of money. There's a flow. I'm not talking about how hard I'm working. I'm talking about the resources coming in. I don't know where it's coming from. That's not my job. My job is to just stay focused on how it feels. So new ideas, new thoughts, and being mindful of them. And this moon on some level squares you. So as I think about in my personal chart, my Mars is in Libra. Mars is obviously in detriment in Libra, but it also is focused on fairness and truth. It's where the cop lives. It's where the enforcement peace officer lives. When it squares the Capricorn energy, there is a tension between the me and the we, because Libra is always the we, always considering others. But when it overly considers the we to the detriment of the I or the me, then we have that square. So having that stellium of planets, including your ruling planet, squaring your first house, is the square is you being able to understand that as you stretch for that part of yourself that is individual, it actually can broaden and bring in great things that are sustainable for your home life, because it's actually your fourth house. Libra that would be your fourth house, something that you can live with. I went from my chart to you guys. All right, here we go, Scorpio. Not the easiest in the world, so brace yourselves. The Three of Swords. Okay, one of the most challenging cards in the deck because it represents betrayal and heartache. But when we look at every depiction of the Three of Swords, the heart is never ripped apart. There are always clean lines through this, okay, or clean arrows. And this particular deck, she's submerged in emotion. Let's look and see where we're going. Scorpio feels things very deeply. There's no doubt about that. Well, if we think about the Scorpio energy, Pluto is making squares to Scorpio, Taurus, and opposition to Leo. And so this could be bringing up old stuff too, old heartbreaks, old situations. We're going to see right now. Because again, we've got this sort of background noise of Saturn and Pisces and Neptune, again, bringing up soul's history, wherever that house is in all our charts. Same thing going on with Uranus and Taurus, breaking up some history. Let's see where this Three of Swords comes. Athena says it's safe for you to be powerful. Rochelle says to honor your heart. Chantal's all about romance. And so this is old heartache. This is not recent heartache because Azure's here. So if you're endeavoring new things as a Scorpio moon, Scorpio sun, Scorpio stellium, Scorpio rising, don't let the old story dictate what's happening in the future. There, the protection card just flew out. Athena's there. The 38 reduces down to an 11. The protection card has a lot to do with that 38 reducing down to an 11 because that is the master number of thought. I also can't help but see the 3 of the swords and then the 3 in the protection card. When I, Athena, lovingly assert myself to my abundance, the 8. The 8 is a very powerful, it's that Leo energy for me. The 8th month, there's wealth. Rochelle is being joined by the restriction card. You're not, I want to offer this. If you have any genre of life where you still have maybe a button where you feel betrayed, you feel hurt, you feel the balance isn't there, the healing hasn't taken place, you'll feel a sense of restriction because, okay, hold on. I'm all over the place. I got to see how this plays out. Okay. Basically, Scorpio, this is what Spirit is saying. It is okay for you to assert yourself beyond whatever pain, whatever betrayals you've experienced in life. And Scorpio knows what betrayal feels like. Rochelle is saying that the restriction card is saying that you're stopping that. You're holding back somehow. The interesting thing about this spread is that every single position has a 3 in it. The 3 of swords, there's a 3 in the protection card, there's a 3 in the restriction card, there's a 3 in the burden card, and the swan reduces down to a 3. The 3 is a couple of things. The 3 to me is the 3rd house of Gemini. It's how I think. It's also, in Christopher Witecki's step system, the 3rd degree represents Jupiter. So there's something going on where in this situation and potentially within this next week, you are revisiting old burdens, old hurts, old restrictions to what you love, to relationships, to, people hear Scorpio, they go, oh, the stinker. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that Scorpio has the potential, but when you plug Scorpio into its higher vibrations, that's the best vibration you could have, because Azure is saying your desired outcome will happen and the transformation is here. But part of it is your agreement to start to trust that intuition, to allow the fixed nature of Scorpio to be transformed. And that's Pluto's square, because your ruling planet squaring you is asking you to dig deeper and in some ways be accountable for where you're not using your genius, where you're not stepping into the phoenix rising. A little bit heavy, not going to lie. Okay, let's go to our final sign, our Sagittarius rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I've been dreaming of a slow cooker this week. I don't know why. Thinking somehow I could be my own mom, make slow cooker meals for myself. I didn't buy one. I was just thinking about it, and I thought I'd share it while I was shuffling. Oh, let's look at your card. The Judgment card, but it's upside down. I don't have an air fryer. Maybe that's the way I should go. I tried making my own potato chips yesterday. They didn't work out. The Judgment card upside down is interesting because it has a Plutonian flair to it as well. It is it's a 20, which is interesting because to me that 20 is about, protecting how I feel and knowing my heart. But in this instance for Sagittarius, it's quieter. The Judgment is more like a discernment here. It's more like somehow information has come across and now you're coming to more of a conclusion. This doesn't feel like it's judgment coming at me. It feels more like it's me making a different choice or having a different observation or allowing my conclusions to broaden somehow. I know I am hungry. I got some hunger going on now. Okay. Akasha is the spiritual teacher. Well, if that isn't Jupiterian, I don't know what is. Fiona says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. Marlena is about actual balance. And then there is Serena, about faith and also about abundance. Okay, I wonder if there's something where you're going to stretch out and maybe finally come to a decision to stretch your spiritual gifts. I don't know, what kind of stuff do you make in an air fryer? I always just picture it like, fried foods because it's called an air fryer. I don't really know. Do you make macaroni in it? Oh, everybody's a big fan of the air fryer, apparently. I've been missing out. I might have to now. I feel I'm going to Macy's and looking at air fryers. I really want to cook more rather than eating out. Do some research on them. Well, whatever it is, it has to be a small one for one, because that's how I roll. Whenever I bought things thinking there would be more people to cook for, it's a waste. Okay. Akasha is being joined by the hawk, signs and omens, and then that's an 11 card. Sagittarius, we have Fiona being joined by the focus card, which is a 33, the master number of the teacher. Merlina is being joined by the wind fairy, which is a 29, which reduces down to an 11. You bake cookies in the air fryer? Oh my goodness. I might just have to really look into this. I'm really into baking red velvet cakes lately. And Serena is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Sagittarius, you are literally, this is a time when you're being asked to come into a deeper truth, to surrender to your own expansion. Your ruling planet is retrograde in Cancer right now, so it's exalted, but it's revisiting things. It's revisiting traditions and beliefs and even potential properties, where I live, where I want to put my roots down. Akasha is a spiritual teacher. It says you have the ability to awaken others, and there are signs and omens that through your just walking through the world, sometimes, you don't have to literally stand as a spiritual teacher to teach spiritual philosophies by the way that you rule your life, the way that you walk. Because Spirit is literally asking you to focus in on the receipt, on the receiving of what it is you want. Fiona, to me, always feels like an epiphany of some kind. And we've got two angels with their arms open in this spread. So there's something that, if indeed you've been feeling as if things were restricted, now you have much more opportunity with a little bit of courage and responsibility to that courage. And I don't mean that, I mean that like, because in the angel's advice, you're overthinking things. If if you're kind of wanting to embark upon something new, then you're overthinking the potential problems. And now is a time to just fall into a place of not worrying about the judgment of others and just showing up, just being I know that overthinking thing, it is a big thing right now, because to me, Serena is a surrender to the inevitable fight between the head and the heart that the Lady of the Lake represents. And I think this is intuitively just, the inherent human experience is one of contrast, one of black and white. I know there's colors in between, but we tend to live polarized. You're right and I'm wrong. And the utopia, the ideal, is that we can all have an opinion and we don't necessarily have to agree with it, but we can be kumbaya about it, or kumbaya about how we create. Somewhere Sagittarius here is, I think, coming into a situation where they're owning something about themselves. They're coming up like the hawk and seeing things with a razor focus. And that focus is spawning new ideas, which could potentially be allowing you to use your intellectual analysis, use your words to share with others. And now, in order to really execute it, you've got to come into a sense of serenity that if you build it, they will come. And this kind of leads me to believe that there will be no judgment, not negative judgment. I do think that the way the planets are moving after we get through this kind of disruptive period of time and this polarization, that people will be more attuned to the diversity of thought. And rather than being everybody wanting to pack in and be the same, it'll be more about the curiosity of it and the intrigue of, it's like the crayon box, right? right now humanity is coloring with an 8 box. There are 8 crayons in the box, and by the time these transits are over, we're going to have the biggest box of crayons you ever saw, with colors in such subtle hues that we didn't know that the eye could embrace them. So that's my metaphor. So happy birthday, Capricorn. Happy new moon to everybody. Great time to put some intentions forward, to be brave, to use today to honor the new moon and this phase of the moon, to build something and to demand, because Saturn is demanding, to build a strong house that is sustainable and full of bounty. So here we go. All right, when we come back next week, we will be on the heels of Neptune's entry into Aries. Can't even begin to tell you how that's going to be. I mean, I can tell you because I did a video on it, but I mean, we are going to feel it in some ways that really, for those of us that have been practicing being a peaceful warrior, I think it's going to be very gratifying. So thank you for that. And I will see you next week. Small wildflowers. Anytime you want to give me a ring, I'm here waiting. I don't want to, call you when you're busy and doing your stuff. So let me know. Love to chat. And I'll see everybody next week, and be on the lookout for some more videos. I'm trying to embrace my Mercury in Scorpio and dig into the psychology of these planets. Peace out, everybody. I'll see you next week.